our exciting guests by the name of Mr. Ray and Mr. Stefan McMillan. How does one make mortgages simple in this current climate? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, it's changed a whole lot. I mean, I started back in 99 when we were using mortgage, and you're correct. It was such a simple process. You can get a deal approved and closed in one day through major lenders. When I look at what goes on today, the amount of paperwork involved to get it even a B or all deal done, or even a private deal done, I am totally appalled and amazed at it. And I lift my hat 100%. To you guys who are still actively involved, like yourself and Stefan and all the other guys who are mortgage brokers today. The business has changed a lot. I think the important thing is the information gathering process. It's better to over-gather information and have to go back to the client 15 times to get other documents. And that's what Stefan does. He gets every single item, even stuff we don't need, in the event that
100%.
Yeah. I mean, we see stuff where on the day of closing, the lender's asking for items again that he sent them, 3 weeks ago. And you get to the lawyer or something else. So it's quite a different process today when I started in the late 90s. But I think the key is educating the client, letting them know that the process is now a lot different than it was when they may have bought their first home or did their last refi 6, 7 years ago. And over the last 3 years, it's gotten even more challenging. During the COVID period, a lot of stuff really changed. And even within the last year, more has even changed. So I think educating the client is very important, and gathering the data from the client, all the necessary documentation, and setting the expectation so that you under-promise and over-deliver. That is very important in today's environment. Under-promise and over-deliver. And if not, you can have some very bad client experiences.
Stefan, having a father in the industry for 25 years must have been a unique relationship with financial literacy growing up, right? So growing up, talk to us. What was the dinner conversations around money and money management?
We were talking about this recently, and I remember I have 2 siblings, so I'm the eldest. I have a brother and a sister.
Nice.
And Dad would have us come to the same building that we're in right now. I would be like probably 10, 11, and we would be doing, filing, looking at appraisals, being in an office atmosphere while soaking it in subconsciously. And he would just have us do tasks where we can, just kind of soak and take in what we're learning. And at the time, I didn't know what mortgages were. I just enjoyed. There's a lot of pizza and food there, and that was the kind of the incentive. But
that was the hook.
11-year-old, that's it. But again, we treated like we were on payroll, so he would have paid us cash based on the time we put in.
Nice.
So we learned, the value of money, time and money at that age. At that time, I didn't realize what he was teaching us until, as you get older, you kind of reflect and see like, oh, that was a money lesson right there. Story, but he worked at CIBC as well, and he had this game software where an interactive game from CIBC where it teaches you about money. So it's like a coin, and it teaches you about, checkings and savings, spending. So you're trying to buy a T-shirt for, $13, but you have $5 in your account. This was back in like the early 2000s. Those were the kind of early lessons that I had about money, and just in general. And it's kind of trickled down as I grown older about learning how to, save my money. And spend wisely, spend, very conservatively on certain items, the essentials. Because when you're 11 years old, all you care about is candy.
Candy, for sure. Was there ever any added pressure for you to get things going to win in this industry based on having those big shoes to fill? Like, talk to us from your perspective. How did that sit with you?
Once my dad started to step away, because again, he had a client base for 25 years and he'd done a lot for those clients. You know, they're buying their first home, buying investment properties, getting out of, you know, serious debt situations. So they had a very large loyalty towards him. Understandable.
Nobody's touching it unless it's Ray. That's it. No, I'm not dealing with anybody unless it's Ray.
That was the challenge. As far as industry pressure, I never looked at it that way. I always believed in myself that I will eventually start to succeed in the industry. I had a plan mapped out, how to, you know, build myself into the industry standings. To your question, but setback was when my dad stepped aside, and I was now the one picking up the calls and dealing with clients. And there's a little reluctancy because they're not familiar with me, even though I'm his last name, but it still doesn't add to them. It's just about, you know, let me speak to Ray. And to my dad, he still reflected the client back to me, even though he may have spoken to them for the introduction, but it would just go right back to me. And I would say in 2-3 years, a lot of his client base, a large portion of his client base now, you know, come to me for mortgage advice. So I think that's the most gratifying part of the whole journey of this, because that's not an easy feat. And in comparison to the accolades, which I appreciate, but I think the biggest one for me was to show the client base that I'm just as good. I won't, you know, as great, and eventually in years of experience, I'll reach to that point. But I'm just to assist you on your mortgage. So yeah, that was probably the most challenging part of the whole transition.
What was life like for you prior to becoming a mortgage agent? Like, what was your career trajectory that you wanted to do when you went to school? And, you know, talk to us about that.
Yeah, I actually studied marketing, so I wanted to get asked about it. So
Nice.
Advertising that area.
Yep.
Um,
So that kind of transitions and helps you along this, right? Because definitely mortgages, you got to market, you got to advertise, right? And I think that's the biggest thing that I think a lot of new agents get stuck in their head, like in terms of how do I get clients? How do I don't feel comfortable talking to people about this if I don't know everything about it.
I think the first thing they have to do is they've got to treat it as a business. It is, and it's a business. I think there are people there who own gas station franchises who make less money than we do in our business, and they've invested, hundreds of thousands of dollars. You invest $100 or $2,000 with the potential to make a high six-figure income, and if you build a decent-sized team, a seven-figure income. So that's the first thing you got to do. It has to be a business. And you've got to put the time in. I'm not a big proponent of part-time mortgage agents. I don't think you're going to do yourself any justice, but more importantly, you're not going to do your clients any justice. So I only deal with, if you want to become part of our team, then you got to do this full-time. You've got to put the time, you got to put those 8 to 10 hours in a day and make the sacrifice. So treat it as a business is very important. Mentorship. You've got to have mentorship. The mortgage training program doesn't equip you to do this business. All it does is give you a license. It doesn't mean you're going to be successful. And I mean, you know what the fail rate is in this industry, Andre. I mean, you've done this for long enough. You know they come and go, and in 2 months they're gone. And you can't mess this up because you're messing up people's lives if you don't know what you're doing as a mortgage professional. right? So mentorship is
100%.
very important. Find the right team to be a part of. And you got to put the work in. You have to understand the economy. You have to understand the real estate market. You have to understand fiscal policy. You've got to look at a lot of things. Have a pretty good sound understanding of where markets can go from day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. Because again, homes today are no longer $100,000. They're $1 million and plus. So you deal with a very large investment for many people. So that's very important. Mentorship, continuous reading, and being in the right team. Sometimes you aren't capable of doing it by yourself, and you're better off joining the right team, and going for the splits. If you can, it's better to have half a loaf than no loaf at all. So it may mean finding a good team leader, and getting a split, and getting deals closed, and giving clients good advice. I said we had a nice team here a couple of years ago, just before COVID. I mean, COVID, we kind of scaled the team back. But, I spent a lot of my time working with those agents to getting their deals done. And all of the agents who were on my team won production awards. All of them won awards.
That's big. That's big.
Yeah. So that's very important. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to tell clients you don't know. Don't be afraid to tell clients, let me consult my team leader or my coach and get back to you tomorrow or in half an hour. Don't be afraid to not have the answer. Too many folks, they think they have all the answers. I know we don't. Now I go to Stefan for advice sometimes because I don't know what the lenders are doing.
Yeah.
Even with my own self, I would say, Steph, what's the situation with this lender today? What's the best option here today? What do you think on this? So even though he is my son, he can also mentor me. And your mentors are older than you.
The teacher. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, become a teacher. So that's how I look at it. But have a business plan, have a financial plan for your business. Determine how you want to grow year over year. We've got sales records going back to 1999. I can pull up my binders and go to see what my numbers were, what my closing ratio was back in 1999, and what the closing ratio is today, right? And how to develop those business efficiencies. The most important thing is your closing ratio. Yeah. You can be doing 10 deals a month, but you're submitting 100 files. Where you can do 10 deals a month and submit 11 files. You know what I mean? You got a 90% closing ratio. So you want to get those ratios up to a point where you're efficient. The more efficient you are, you get lender favor, right? You get fast approvals, fast closings, discretionary discounts in your rate sometimes. And your clients benefit. And
exceptions too, sometimes.
And your clients benefit. And then with your clients benefiting favorably, you get client referral. Because this business is still a referral business. I mean, the best clients are referral, right? You don't want those cold calls. Cold calls are great, but you want that referral. You want that referral client. Yeah. So that's what I would tell them. And find a niche also, right? Find a niche, but understand that your niche can change from year to year or month to month. So my niche back in 1999 was first-time home buyers, 5% down or cashback deals. Then went into refinances, then investors, right? So, and then you do small commercial, you do construction financing. So as you change your niche, you expand your knowledge base. And by the time you're 10 years into this industry, you can do any deal now. Yeah. I see guys who were 15 years in, have never done a private mortgage. They don't know where to start. They're scared of them, right?
And now is not the time for that environment.
Yeah. Or they've never done construction financing. They don't understand how construction financing mortgage works, or a reverse mortgage. So you can't. I mean, Steph has done every single mortgage transaction out there, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what I would suggest to any young person coming. But you got to find a mentor. Mentorship is the most important thing in this industry.
And roll up your sleeves and get the doing, right? Where's your most favorite place in your home? Talk to us.
I would have to go with my living room because it has my books and my vinyl record. It's very tranquil. Of course, has a TV, so I would say the living room.
Mr. Ray, talk to us. Where's your most favorite place in your home?
I like the kitchen, actually. I cook a lot, so my kitchen is very important. That's where I'm at peace. That's where I unwind, and I can really I do my magic, you know. So I put some music on, you know, and I just get into the kitchen and I cook. I cook with those who I care for and who I love. So I like being in the kitchen.